Following up on my recent video about how discourse on the internet is a complete joke right now, one thing that's really annoying to me is the overuse of buzzwords on the internet. A buzzword is a word or phrase that has become fashionable and is overused to the point that its original meaning has been lost. Buzzwords are used constantly in politics. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders has referred to himself repeatedly as a democratic socialist, but he's done a very bad job of explaining what that is. It's lost its meaning. It just means whatever he wants it to mean at the time that he's saying it. If you've ever worked a corporate job, then you're very familiar with buzzwords like synergy and best practices. One could even argue that the word buzzword is a buzzword. A lot of times buzzwords are pretty innocuous, but in the hellscape that is internet discourse, buzzwords are generally used in a very aggressive and divisive way. In the past, I've said that I don't really like the terms rape culture or the patriarchy, which are popular among feminists because they become buzzwords that people throw out in place of actual arguments. But these days, it's gotten completely out of hand, from feminists to anti-feminists, from liberals to conservatives. Everybody is doing this right now. Instead of forming coherent arguments and pointing out the flaws in other people's arguments in a civil way, people just throw out buzzwords that's supposed to stand on their own with no elaboration. If you're too social justicey for somebody's taste, they might call you a cuck or say you're a part of the regressive left or accuse you of virtue signaling. And if you're seen as too conservative, you might be called a neckbeard or accused of tone policing or having problematic beliefs. And the list goes on. On one end, you have things like social justice warrior, friend zone, feminazi or just feminist, AFC or beta, blue pill, red pill, egalitarian or Nawalt/Nafalt. And on the other side, you have things like dude bro, privilege, trigger, internalized misogyny, appropriation. For those that don't know what these words mean, I'll provide a brief explanation in the description for all of the terms. But a lot of these words and phrases are just proclaimed and intended to stand on their own, but they're used so often in so many different contexts that they no longer have much of their own meaning. It just means whatever the person wants it to mean at the time. I've never used the term regressive left in a video, I don't think, but I've definitely discussed the problems with liberals and political correctness in today's society. But today people use the term regressive left to broadly describe any traditionally liberal concept they happen to disagree with. I've also made videos about privilege, like white privilege and male privilege, but these days people throw out the term privilege as if it's a bad thing to have, and if you have it, then your opinion doesn't matter. The thing about it is many, if not most of these concepts were coined in order to describe legitimate concepts. The idea of rape culture describes problematic attitudes in society about sex and gender that cause rape and sexual assault to be more pervasive. But today you hear people broadly use the term as like the cause of all rape and sexual assault, like some mysterious force called rape culture is causing normal people to become rapists. This is the kind of thing that happens when you focus on the terminology instead of the facts and the context. Now, don't get me wrong, language is important, and coming up with terms that have definitions that we can all agree on is important, and it makes discussions easier. The problem comes about when we use these terms as surrogates for entire arguments. If someone makes a statement and you respond with, "This guy's just virtue signaling," that's not an argument. You did not prove them wrong. You did not refute what they said. And that really goes for all of these buzz phrases. And I just think that's a major problem on the internet right now, and one of the reasons why discourse is so depressing. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you once again for watching my video. For those that don't know, I'm a full-time YouTube creator, and the only way that I'm able to do that is through your support, and a large portion of that support comes through Patreon. Now, Patreon is a crowdfunding site for people like me with ongoing creative projects. It's kind of like an online tip jar where you can set it up to donate just a couple bucks every time I make a new video. So if you find any value in my channel or my videos, or if you just want to support me, please consider signing up for Patreon. That would be super amazing and totally appreciated. But even if you don't feel like it, or if you can't, that's fine too. I just thank you for watching.